Hello YouTube. This morning I'm going to install my brakes, rotors, and brake pads. So let's get this started. Okay, all you need is a jack the car up, jack stands to make sure the car stays up and don't fall on you. You're going to need a breaker bar with a 15mm socket. That's for the brake bracket. Screwdriver to pry the caliper off. A C-clamp to compress the calipers, the pistons out so you can put the new brake pads in. And you need a small ratchet with a 14mm socket on it to take the bracket off the caliper off the main bracket. And that's it, basically 4 bolts. I am also going to be replacing the end link on it because I'm driving around with no end links. Because when I converted the car over, I put a sway bar from a 96 SHO on there, and the end links didn't fit. So I had to get end links for the 96 Ford Taurus, which came in. They're a little shorter than the ones I had, but I measured them up, and they should fit. So I'm going to start with the passenger side first, which is the right side. These brakes have numbers on them. You got one for the left side, you see the L, that's the driver's side, and one for the right side that has the R on it. It's this one. As you can see, R. Since I'm going to be replacing the passenger side first, I'm going to get this bottom one here, and I'm going to put that one on the right hand side or passenger side. And then I'll put, this is the left end link. This is the right end link. I'm going to have to take the grease fittings off. I already put them in here. Take the grease fittings off. Put a little grease in these to lubricate these joints. I already did the left side. I'm going to take this out real quick. Put some grease in each one of these fittings to grease the joints in this, my end link on the passenger side. I'm going to use this bottom rotor right here, and we're going to start by lifting the car up, taking the wheel off, and start with disassembly. Okay, I took the wheel off and I turned it a little so I can get reach to the bolts back here. This rotor only has a couple of months on it, so I'm actually going to keep the rotor as just in case something happens and I need to put them back on. I have those. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is remove these bolts that hold the caliper on. There's one here, and there's one right there. I'll take those off, and then I'll just be able to take this whole caliper off like this. If it's stuck, sometimes they get welded on me and get stuck on there. Stick a flat screwdriver in here and then pry it, so I'll pop it loose. I'll just take it off. I'm just going to hang it up here with some wire to keep it from dangling on this and damaging that. So first thing I'm going to do, 14mm socket, hit that one right there, and this whole piece should come out together. Okay, I removed the 12mm bolts right there. The whole unit came out. I just got some wire and hung it up here so I don't be dangling this and damaging that. Also use this clamp here. As you can see right here, there's a piston right there. What I did was I used the clamp to press in the piston so it's back into the body of the caliper. So then I can have room to put my new brake pads in and then slide it onto the rotor. So the next thing I'm going to do, take a 15mm socket and a breaker bar, and there's these big bolts right there. As you can see, there is one right here and one right here. You take these loose and this whole bracket will come off. Then you just slide the rotor off. So I turned the wheel a little bit so I can have more room so I can get leverage and turn down on it and break these 2 bolts loose. They shouldn't have no problem coming off because I replaced these with new pads and rotors I put on a couple months ago. So they shouldn't be frozen on there like it was when I originally changed these off. But more likely you're going to need a long bar so you can have leverage to break those two bolts loose. So that's why I turned the wheel this way so I can have a free angle with a long bar so I can have torque and leverage to break those bolts loose. It also will help if you put WD-40 or some kind of lubricant there. Let it sit for a few minutes. It will help you a lot. So I'm going to see if I can just take this off right away. They should come right off. We'll see in a second. Okay, the rotors and the pads are off. Like I was showing you again, these have plenty of meat on them. And the rotor is basically a year old. Plenty of metal on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep these, put them in the garage. If I need to reuse them again for any reason, I can just have them resurfaced, and I can just use the same brake pads, put them back on. Outside of that, let's put the new rotors on. And remember that each side is made for a different part. This one is for the passenger side. Just make sure to look on the box. Make sure it says R. As you can see right here, it says R on it. Right side. That's this one right here. Now I'm going to slide it on and put the bracket back on. Then put the calipers back on. It's all in reverse order. And there it is. Everything's tightened. Brackets are back on. Everything's back. Everything is tight. Now I'm going to have to put in the new end links. As you can see, one part of the end link will go here, and the other part will go in this bracket right here on the strut. So let's get to it. Okay, this is the end link. I took this off. I checked the grease fittings. They're already greased, so I didn't have to put any in there. So it's angled. You can either put it in top first or this top first, but this goes to the top bracket and this goes to the sway bar at the bottom. Let's see if this fits. And there it is. The rotor's in. Okay, and there's the end link. Goes all the way up to right there. I use an Allen wrench and a wrench, but everything is there. The brakes are in place. Everything's slid down to proper torque specifications. Now I just got to put the wheel on and do the same thing on the other side. Okay, after I finished installing everything, I had to break the pads in or have them set in. So what you got to do is go on the street. It's going to be mushy at first, but go on the street, do some 40 to 0 mile per hour stops. And then after you do that about 3 or 4 times, find an access road or something where you can get up to about 60 miles an hour and do about 5 or 6 hard stops from 60 to about 20, 15 miles per hour, and do that about a couple of times. And that will set your brakes. It'll take off that little coating around the pad surface. It's going to smoke, especially with these black ones. But after you're done, the result is this. Okay, it took the black off of the surfaces where the pad meets the rotor, but you still got the coating around the center and around the edges, and that will prevent it from rusting. And that's it. Brakes are done. Hopefully I can make another video, some more work on the car. Until then, I'll see you.